Welcome to the CWC Podcast with your hosts, David Selby, Andy Horton, and Savannah Smith.
Put on your smile. Here we go. All right, welcome back to the CWC Podcast, your home for the latest news, rumors, and updates in Chuckwagon racing. I'm David Selby, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Andy Horton. And behind the scenes, you can't see her, Savannah Smith is producing today. And on today's show, we've got some very, very big news. You don't want to miss this announcement. It's gigantic. It's huge. I'm telling you, this is important. We have some very distinguished guests joining us from the Eastern Professional Chariot and Chuckwagon Association out of Canada. And this is a show you don't want to miss. It's all coming up on the CWC Podcast. Before we get into it.
Any other words we can think of for the word big?
Bigly?
Huge, gigantic, humongous.
I think I went full Donald Trump there for a second.
You wish you wouldn't believe it.
It's going to be huge. And before we get any further, though, go over to chuckwagonchannel.com, get subscribed, relive the ride. Season 3 of the Great Wagon Race is just around the corner. That Chuckwagon Race DVD, that's going to be coming out. Savannah's been working really hard on that. We've been looking over all that stuff. We're looking at it every day. It's exciting times. So season 1 and 2, they're up there. Go watch them. All right. So, yes, today's a big day. You doing okay, Andy? What have you been up to?
I have been in full-on portrait mode, and this is that roller coaster time of year when I can tell exactly when fall break and Thanksgiving break are, because that's when my entire fall business happens. And then the rest of it, daylight savings time just destroys, or the lack of daylight savings time, I should say.
Yeah. Man, we very quickly get into the time of the year where it's like good to have studio space.
No kidding. Yeah.
So that's something that, we really haven't had in the past. So here, this year, first year since March, we have had this building, and that's going to be really helpful as we lose daylight and lose temperature and lose color outside, which basically in the last couple of days, all the leaves blew off the trees right around my house. They just gone. Now they're sitting in my yard.
Yeah, we had that 22-degree cold snap, and it just murdered all of our leaves. Like, we still got some hanging on, but they're brown. Like, they're not great. We got a couple of nice-looking trees, but it's like a couple.
Yep. Well, thank goodness for post-production, right? Just add them back in there.
Right. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, man, let's break the news. Let's do this thing. Are you ready?
Let's do it, man.
All right. So we have a big announcement. The big news that you've all been waiting for. We have to share that in 2026, the Chuckwagon Channel is officially going to be bringing you Canadian Chuckwagon racing for the very first time. We're thrilled and we're honored to announce a new partnership with the Eastern Professional Chariot and Chuckwagon Association, the EPCCA. Starting in 2026, the Chuckwagon Channel will be their exclusive broadcast partner, and that will go through the next 3 years. So we're going to let our guests today, Lorelle Halderman and Shane Hue, tell us more about the association whenever they tune in. So what does this mean for Chuckwagon Channel, for Chuckwagon racing? What is this going to do for the way traditionally things have been done? So 3 incredible things that I want to hit on by answering 3 questions. That's how I wanted to frame this up. So why Canadian racing? This is a chance to combine and cross-pollinate 2 different, very passionate Chuckwagon race audiences. We get to learn from the legacy of their association, which is 55 years old, and we get to introduce their dedicated fans to the great racing that's happening on our side of the border. So I just think it's an awesome opportunity for growth. It's a phenomenal opportunity to bring more of the wagon racing world just a little bit closer together.
Yeah.
So another question, will it look the same? So it will be very familiar. It's going to be very similar, like the Chuckwagon Channel. You're not going to see it like turn a bunch of different colors and it's like something totally different. It's going to look very similar. We're just going to be adding another area on the Chuckwagon Channel that will be for the Canadian racing, or I think it'll probably be more for that association, for the EPCCA. They do have some different rules, different horses, different traditions, but this is a cool chance for us to kind of showcase a new flavor of wagon racing, just side by side with what you kind of already see, what you already follow. It'll bring diversity to the content.
That's what I'm interested in. I want to see like how that's different than the Arkansas version of what we do, because it's not, I haven't really been exposed to a lot of other schools of thought when it comes to chuckwagon racing. So I want to see how they're, we have like our weight limits, our size limits, our team members, the way that we do things, our outriders, our stuff like that. I want to see what's different with the Canadian stuff. So this should be really cool to learn.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to pick their brains today. And I know that like this is probably the kind of show that could go for like 2 or 3 hours if we wanted to, like, if we didn't cap it off. Like, I'm going to try to stay high level when they come on here today, but I know that there's a lot of really cool questions that I think everybody would be interested to hear, especially in the Chuckwagon race audience. That's what gets me so pumped about this, is like we get to kind of look at what each different association does, each different kind of racing. And so, and not to mention they do chariots, so that's different too. But yeah, maybe one more question that's maybe high level here. So like, will this replace my favorite races, my stuff that I'm so used to? No, the partnership is, we're bringing more high quality racing to the channel. It's not replacing or reducing our commitment to what we already do with Chuckwagon racing in the Arkansas spectrum. And I'm calling it Arkansas Chuckwagon racing. That's what I'm basically calling this American form of Chuckwagon racing that we have down here in the Midwest and the Mid-South, because I think that's what it is, and appropriately named. We are simply adding a whole new exciting dimension to the Chuckwagon channel. It is more juicy content for our audience to enjoy. So it gets me pretty pumped up. This is something that, I want to shed more light on kind of the story of how this all happened, but I'll kind of wait for Lorelle and for Shane to get on here. But anyways, so in 2026, in early 26, we, Andy and Savannah and myself, we're going to travel to Canada, and we're going to learn more about Canadian wagon racing culture. We're going to do some preliminary filming. We're going to train some videographers that are up there, and we're going to establish a standard for how we need the races to be filmed so that we can publish them on the Chuckwagon channel. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I'm going to pretty much have you do most of that training stuff because you're the viewer. Yeah.
Oh no. All right. Well,
there's a lot of like kind of things that we have to think about when we do this trip, because obviously we want to document the trip, and we want to document this whole process, because I mean, we're, as far as Chuckwagon racing goes, we're kind of we're building this from the ground up a little bit, and so this is going to be a piece of Chuckwagon racing's legacy and the history of hopefully how Chuckwagon racing gets to be a lot bigger. So there's a lot of things that we have to kind of think about. I feel like there's a lot of responsibility there, and I'm excited for it more than anything. The most important thing for me is I got to renew my passport.
Dude, if you're not on that now, you're in trouble. Like I'm telling you, that's not like a one-day thing.
I know.
You got to get on that, because that could take from now until right up until the time we leave to get that done. You got to get off. You got to get on it,
Dad. I know, Dad. I get it. I know. Yeah, it's important. I'm aware. I read somewhere that I get to have 6 weeks or something. So I need to get on it sooner than later. Yeah. So anyway, I think these guys are in the waiting room. So rather than continue to just talk about it, let's just bring them in. So I'm going to introduce here. Actually, I'll tell you what. Bring them in. I'll introduce them.
Hey guys.
Coming in hot from Canada.
Hello.
What's going on, guys? How are you today?
Good. You?
Oh, we're doing great. I'm sure that we're going to have a slight delay since we're so many miles away from each other. But before we even do anything, I just want to introduce you guys real quick. So, Shane, your last name is pronounced like it's spelled Hue, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Correct. So, guys, it's Shane Hue. He's the president of the EPCCA, which we've already told you what the EPCCA is. He's been a big part of the conversations that we've had these last couple of weeks, as far as getting everything established. And then somebody that maybe you saw down at the Outlaw Nation Chuckwagon race, we've got Lorelle Halderman here, and she is the manager of corporate relations and marketing for the EPCCA. And it's great to have you guys. Thanks for taking the time. And we're recording here on a Monday. Our audience may not see this for a couple days still, but it's worth knowing that we did this on a Monday.
Right?
So let's break into it here. Where are you guys at? So just so people know, where are you guys located right now?
I'm based out of Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. If you look on the map, we're kind of basically right on the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border, about halfway up.
So you're up on the east side of Saskatchewan, and Lorelle, tell us where you're at. You're probably just a stone's throw away from that, right?
Well, just a little ways. I'm in Medicine Hat, Alberta.
All right. So how far away are you guys from each other right now? I mean, that's a substantial difference.
And what would it be?
Just about. It depends who's driving, I always say.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was quite a bit longer. We ran in.
Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, we do have quite a bit of a delay here. It was quite a bit of a long trip yesterday. Of course, we ran into some substantial fog for about 3.5 hours. So our trip was quite delayed yesterday, but positive side, there was no snow and no ice. So we'll take it.
Yeah, because you guys just had your banquet this weekend, your annual banquet to kind of cap the year. And, that's this is where you guys actually got to announce this partnership. So tell me about that. How did it go? I want to know.
Yeah, no, as the members themselves, it was very exciting. Yeah, it was hard to keeping it hush hush for the last week or so, and but no, when it was announced, it was a lot of cheers and claps, and very exciting. Yeah, a lot of excitement from our membership. Yeah.
Awesome. Lorelle, give me the recap from your perspective.
Well, like Shane said, it was really actually amazing. After the announcement was made at the general meeting, I had asked the directors and members, etc., if they thought that I should play your wonderful video that you did for us again at the supper for all the rest of the audience that was coming in. It was an absolute packed house. And they said, sure, please do. So it was just the enthusiasm in the air, the energy around it. I can't explain. We are just so exciting. Our racing community is so excited, as well as the fans. And that's exactly what we hoped for and had forecasted. So we're just ready to go.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. That's one of the questions I was going to ask, is kind of how everybody responded to it. But Lorelle, you were kind of the catalyst to this whole thing. So kind of help me recap. How in the world did we get here?
Well, I'm in my role as business development for the association. I'm always looking at new and innovative ways, to promote our club, the sport, for our committees, our show committees, our drivers, their sponsors, our partnerships, just always looking at ways that we can increase that with great relevance. And when I came upon the Chuckwagon Channel, I quickly reached out to David, and our conversations and hours and hours and hours of phone calls, etc., led to thinking this may be a very real possibility. And upon that, my husband and I flew down to Arkansas. David had invited us down there for the state finals, and sure glad we did. I mean, I was able to meet you as well, Andy. We all spent, and your wonderful dad as well, and we got to spend some great time there, and of course, great conversations with Brad House, the president of the Chuckwagon Association down there. It was just fantastic, and I've really been telling everyone about how the feeling is with the drivers, etc., down there. Like, it was just phenomenal. Everywhere we went, it didn't matter who we ran into. welcomed us with open arms, and it was just fantastic. Like I think, Shane, I could speak for you saying that we've got a real big group coming back to Chase's Ranch again next year for Outlaw Nation, and just excited, yeah, just awesome.
That's awesome. I think it's going to be pretty fun to see you guys come back and bring more people, but also it's also worth mentioning that we not only welcomed you with open arms and maybe a couple of friendly hydrating beverages, but also we sent an empty wagon. We sent an empty wagon, a wagon team running at you and your rental vehicle while you guys were sitting there watching the races. So we're hoping that that's all
That was
sorted out.
Initiation, I think.
So I got to meet you while we were there, but I kind of got caught up in my work and running my head off out there, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about a few things. One thing is, and I'll give Shane a chance on this too. What are your personal histories in chuckwagon racing? How did you all get into this? Shane, from what I understand, you compete, right? You race.
Yeah, I compete. My story's a little different than most. When I grew up with horses all my life. Like when I was born, we had horses. My grandfather was into them, but my family actually wasn't in the chuckwagon sport. We did a lot of wagon trekking, just saddle horses and stuff. But as a kid, for me, I don't know. Horses are my passion. I love them. And as a kid, I just always remember going to the rodeos with my grandpa or my dad and sitting there on the fence, just watching the teams and, picking out your favorite outfit because that wagon's painted cool or he's got 4 matching horses, whatever it might be. But I just always had that passion, and I loved watching the wagon racing. I lucked out as a kid. When I was 16 years old, our neighbor ran wagons, and he actually did he came down and did with a fellow to the States in the summer and stuff, and did I guess they're like specialty acts, right? Like they would go down to shows in Houston and in Texas area and stuff and all over. And so he was going to be gone one summer. He chose to go south. And one day Dad called me in and he's like, got an option for you. He said, I'll either buy you a pickup for your 16th birthday or my good friend Kirby Clybor, neighbor, or he said, Kirby said you can take his horses and go racing this summer. So I thought, well, I don't need a pickup. I'll need gas. So I took the horses. And funny story, the first time ever I went to Kirby's, he was already down in the States, and we took the horses to another neighbor's, Bert Bueller. He races still to this day. And Bert showed me the ropes. He helped me hook them up. And the very first day we went up down the lane across into the ditch, and he's like, well, you might as well let him go. You got to learn. And there we went flat out down the ditch and was hooked ever since. And so I started in 1994, so and then a lot of us start out in a Chariot. You get some experience with the 2-horse hook and the Chariot, and then in 2002 I went to the wagon, and yeah, ever since. And my wife Jennifer, her grandfather raced all his life. He was huge into getting me back into it. I had a couple years off in between. Guy had to go get to work and stuff, but then he got me back into it and set me up and stuff, and been just going ever since.
So that's awesome.
Lorelle, tell us about your background here with wagon racing.
Well, I guess my family was involved with the association right since the inception of it. So spent all of my summers growing up being around it, etc. Always, had a real passion for it and the people and it's just a great sport to be around and involved with, and to see how it has evolved. And I've just always been excited about being a part of that growth, and with my passion for it, hopefully lending some of my skill set towards that. And that's, a large part of how we are partnering with you guys, is how that's come about. But yeah, it's just something that's instilled in you, and you just take that on to your adult years. And Shane brought up a really good point. Our club especially has a large generational factor in it. And, we even have some of the founding drivers, etc., Floyd Hogue, Larry and Wayne Solomon, that aren't only participating, but actually still driving with us since 1969. Can you imagine that? I can't think of another club anywhere that can boast that, and we're real lucky to have them.
Yeah, I can't. That's hard to believe that. That you have over 50 years and you've got founding members driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty special, and not only are they driving, they're still whooping us too. Like, they're the ones that we're chasing and trying to beat. So it's pretty interesting.
The coolest thing about that too is, again, not only that they are still with us, and like you said, Shane, showing you guys a thing or two once in a while, but the thing is that their kids and grandkids now are active participants and fierce competitors. And, not just those families, but, I can think of, 8, 9, or 10 other families whose generations are still carrying on. And I think that is in part to the success of our growth, is that generational aspect, because it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. And we are at a real area of growth right now. And I think I could say that for Chuckwagon racing on the whole. It is probably, if I were to guess, the biggest inclining Western equine sport right now, as we see that. And, even as I watch the ones down where you guys are, there's a huge family aspect too. And I think, some of them had mentioned as well, as that's how they boast their growth as well.
Yeah, the generational piece of this whole thing is really interesting because, the sport, and I've kind of, we call it Arkansas Chuckwagon Racing because it's just changed. It's a little bit different. It's influenced and inspired by Canadian Chuckwagon Racing. However, it is different. We really don't have 4 animals pulling wagons most of the time. While I know that's a very common thing for the Chuckwagon aspect of it for you guys, but as far as like the history of it, it really starts in the mid 80s whenever Dan and Peggy Oaf kind of start just racing, like a run what you brung thing on their own ranch. And then that quickly transforms into what we call the national championships at this point. It's our NFR for Chuckwagon Racing. It's our biggest event. And then out of that comes our Arkansas Association. And then, they have 8 different divisions, and it's very different from what you guys have. But the fact that it's been around, for several decades now, now we get to see the grandparents and that second generation and the third generations kind of creeping in, and all of that's kind of happening. It's really cool to see. And then along with that, I think that we've also just now really started to tap into the youth part with the ACWRA, because we've got a couple new leadership there, a couple of ladies who have just really taken that torch with the youth, and they are running with it. So it's exciting to hear about the youth on you guys' side as well. Do you guys run your youth differently than you run your adults? Just curious to know how you guys do that.
Yeah, no. So in our association, you got to be 14 years old to run a Chariot, and then 16 when you can move into a wagon. You have to be that age as of January 1st of that race season. And then usually what we do with them is, they got to do a driver safety test. So a couple of the board members will watch them prior to their first actual race. So they must meet our qualifications too. They got, we observe them, watch them, make sure we know they're going to be safe and for themselves and for other competitors and stuff. And then once they're approved, majority of the time our races are 3 outfits per race. So a lot of times what we do with the young guys for the first little bit, we'll just put them in two competitors at a time, a little more room for them. And a lot of times with that, we'll throw an older driver with them to watch out for them on the track and stuff too, if in case, if something happens to go bad or anything. We don't want to put 2 young kids right off the hop together and stuff. So we kind of slowly build them up to getting them into them heats of races of 3 and stuff. But in fairness to a lot of our junior drivers, they've been driving for years, and they're probably driving a year or 2 before they even are old enough to race. So it's a pretty easy transition for a lot of these kids. And in our one thing in our club, it's competitive. Like when it's race time, there's no holding back. But on the same token, we all look out for each other, and we all help out, and and that all starts from our, I don't call them senior, but from even our founding members and stuff. I can remember as a kid, maybe one of your horses gets sore and you don't have an extra one, and just in 2 seconds that word gets out, and you got 5 guys coming over and, hey, you need a horse today, we'll help you out, and don't worry about this one, he's broke, ain't gonna give you no wild thing, or and that happens still to this day. Every day guys are helping each other, lending a horse. You hope you don't lend one that's gonna beat you, and your own horse is gonna beat you, but
We've seen it happen. Yeah,
but no, it's just it really is it's competitive, and you're there to race and win, but at the end of the day, we're all there looking out for each other, and if anyone can help anyone, they're there.
I think I learned
Pretty familiar.
Shane too. There's our delay again, hey. But I just want to add to that a little bit. We have something else that's really unique tied to our club, and it's the Eastern Gymkhana group. It's the youth can start wee little there riding Gymkhana. Lots of them that are involved in it, their parents are racing Chuckwagons or Chariots, and so they travel down the road at a few events of ours as well, and have their own meet and compete. That's barrels, pole bending, etc. For those of you that aren't familiar with Gymkhana, but that really gets them immersed too. It's a great, introduction just to the life of what's going on too. And that's really unique. Shane, I don't know another club that has that tied to Gymkhana as well. Do you?
No, I don't think they do. No.
yeah. That was a word that I had never heard before, and then you broke that out for me in one of our first conversations, and I was like, "Who's Gymkhana?" I didn't know what that meant, and then I actually looked it up and kind of got familiar. But it's it's really the idea of using. I guess I kind of look at it as being like a small array of different competitions, more for like youth.
Well, in our part of the country, that's a roundup club. We founded one of those at where I live. When I was a kid, we had one here for 16 years, barrels, poles, flags, that sort of thing. And Oklahoma has a roundup club cavalcade in Pawhuska, where you basically send all your best riders in each event up there, and they call it the world's largest amateur rodeo, where they all send all the roundup clubs all over the state, send them up there, and then they all compete against each other for like 4 days. So that's a big thing. It's just we just call it Roundup Club instead of Gymkhana.
Yeah. And there's going to be it's going to be so cool as we go through this whole process to see all these different terminologies and stuff. Like when you guys say youth and you talk about 14 years old, when we say youth, we're like, 3 years old, he's in the wagon. Not like quite like that. They're not turning them loose, but it is different how we've approached the youth, and there's probably a lot of stuff that we can learn from you guys too, because, I've said this to people that I've been talking to lately about the Canadian wagon racing and this partnership. We've been racing for 40 years down here and basically reinventing that wheel while it's like over 100 years old in Canada. And so I think, not to say that we're just going to do if we're just going to fall in line, it's going to be the same thing. I celebrate a lot of these differences too. I think that it's actually really cool that there's all this variety in the two versions of wagon racing. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff that we can learn, from you all. It's just crazy to think the stuff that the influence that we could get from each other. We just lost Shane, so hopefully he'll jump back in here in a second.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really want to, if I may, obviously I'm so proud of this EPCCA club because, like I said, it's been around in my family since inception, but we are North America's largest chariot and chuckwagon association, and that to me in itself is, an incredible feat and longest running one, to be quite frank. And the roots of our club have produced a lot of what I call legend drivers that have gone elsewhere and to compete in the Calgary Stampede, etc. We are all so proud of that fact.
Absolutely. So a couple of things that I've kind of been hanging on to. One, we were talking about when we first started the conversation, we talked about where you and Shane were located and how far apart you are. And that something that entered my mind there was, so first off, where are your races held? Are they all in the same area, or do you have different tracks at arenas? I'm trying to wrap my head around that. That's part of what I'm wanting to know. And the other thing that I'm interested in is when we come up this spring, where are we going?
Well, to answer the latter question first, I'm keeping that a real surprise.
Huh?
It'll be somewhere fun. It'll be somewhere relevant, and it'll be the time of your life, Andy. I promised you that.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. I'm excited.
Yeah, my wife wants to know how long I'm going to be.
And
let me know.
Poor Miranda. Yeah, I'll have to put her at ease, I'm sure, during the trip, just to make her know that you're still okay. Anyways, yeah. And where do we race? Well, we race throughout Saskatchewan and into the western part of Manitoba, but we start racing the end of May right up until the second weekend in September, and that's every single weekend. I believe it was 51 days of racing last year as well. There are some weekends we race at two locations, so our club splits up and races, and I know that we are always getting inquiries to run elsewhere. Like I said, we are so popular that a lot of the communities we run in any of these areas that I mentioned, that's their biggest summer event. And of course, the Chuckwagons and Chariots are the most popular events that those people attend. And we are just so excited this year for the new partnerships coming on board, et cetera. And you guys being the biggest one, I think that it's just going to catapult the interest more and more. And, of course, we welcome all your American Chuckwagon Channel subscribers to come on up and we'll welcome that at any of our shows, and we'll get that schedule out to David here sooner than later, so that you certainly can plan a trip up to Saskatchewan or Manitoba, and please join us.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun here, kind of, and I guess you would call it the off season, to see how we can basically start incorporating the EPCCA schedule and everything coming up for you guys into our programming. It's an important piece of what we're going to be doing. We want to make sure that we're putting that news out there, the things that you guys want to be floating out there, that we can be floating that out through our normal programming. We do this show every week, and now we have a whole new element to bring to it. So that's exciting, and it'll be fun to kind of walk that walk a little bit and see where it all goes. Because I know that, like, all the ideas that we have right now, when we look back on this in 6 months or a year, we're going to be looking at it totally differently. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. And, this is really funny. And this is the way we kind of forecasted it as well, David, is that we had initially spoke about doing our top 5 shows, right? up here. And actually, in what has it been, a week since we've unveiled this to anyone, and we're already getting interest from other shows that, well, how do we get on that too? So that very early interest and the amount of it which we've received is just incredible. And it's just giving me more and more confidence that this partnership is the right direction for both of us.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see it thrive. And I that's definitely part of my my interest in knowing how it went over at you guys' banquet for this to be announced, because I'm sure that with our initial conversation about we got to at least get 5 in year one, I know that would surely that would perk up the ears of other racetrack owners or venues, because I know that this is something that it's worthwhile getting on board with right now, but we also have to make it like it has to be within our means to produce the content to do all of this. And so I know that you guys have to worry about that stuff logistically on your end, and then we have to we have to kind of figure all that stuff out as we go forward and make it happen. But I love that. I love that there are going to be growing pains as we go through this entire thing. I'm excited about that.
Oh man.
But yeah, you guys are you are North America's largest Chariot and Chuckwagon association. So talk about that just a little bit. You guys have 20 races throughout the season. How do you guys navigate being able to do that many different venues? What are kind of the logistical challenges of doing this week over week over week, and how does that compare to what you kind of saw when you came down to Arkansas?
Well, I guess, the first point being that this club has been doing it for so long. It's kind of like a fine-tuned machine at this point, but, great staff. We've just got a great amount of people, like I said, willing to help out at each track, etc. And, and again, they've been doing it for so long that, there's just a certain routing, how everything works. The biggest difference, I guess, well, there's a few differences from when I was down there towards how we operate things up here, but the biggest one probably is that we race on an actual dirt track, with railings, etc. It's very structured, and we don't have outriders, so that's another cool difference that you guys have down there. Those would be two of the biggest things that I would see as a difference. And of course, you guys, have the 8 divisions with the mules, etc. But yeah, two very, very different ways, but two very cool ways. Similarities are definitely the passion and when it's go time for those guys down there, it's go time and it's all out. Much like our guys, they have a love, passion for the sport, and you can just see it.
Yeah, man, it's going to be really fun to put these two associations, I guess, really right next to each other, two styles of chuckwagon racing right next to each other on the channel this year. That's one of the things I'm most excited about. And then, obviously we're going to be able to take a very special interest. I mean, it's going to be taking a special interest in something that is so similar, but then so different. And, I feel like the more that I look into it, the more I see a lot of cultural similarities as far as just how people treat one another. And maybe that's horse people, but I also think that like when you get into the competitive aspects of it, I still see a lot of similarities. Like you have to have a little bit of a desire for that adrenaline rush that probably comes with getting into a wagon, and then also taking care of the animals and doing everything that you can to be prepared and ready to go get this adrenaline rush, but also compete at a really high level. There's a very competitive element to this whole thing that I think is a common denominator across both Arkansas and Canadian racing.
Well, and I think you hit it on the head. I mean, as far as I can see, similarities in our two associations. Every association has their Blake Wiles. Every association has their Brad House. We have the same. And boy, I just love the two of them, the two associations to get together. And, who knows? The potential is endless. Maybe in the northern part of the States, we have an international match when, you guys do your thing, we do ours. But what a heck of an idea to have that.
Yeah. And I know some of these differences in the way that things are raced, the way some of these races are, I guess, performed or executed. I know a lot of that probably has to do with the evolution of the safety of the sport. I've definitely seen that looking back at the history of Canadian racing. I know that the outrider is a really interesting role in wagon racing, because I know that at least the rules of the outriding role have changed over the years. And you're saying in at least the EPCCA, there is no outrider. Is that correct?
Right. There are other associations that do have them up here, but our association does not.
Man, I just think it's super fascinating. Andy, do you have any other questions that you kind of had cocked and loaded there? Anything you're wanting to hit on?
No, I think you've kind of covered most of what I had on my mind. I had a few that kind of popped up, and then they were addressed before I had a chance to really say anything. But yeah, really excited to get up there and experience this, and I'm sure just the atmosphere, I'm sure, and you can probably speak to that, Lorelle, is probably quite a bit different than what I'm used to being a part of. So it's going to be really cool to meet the competitors, and to, or it, depending, we'll just see what happens. But I'm a lot of stuff on my mind, and just I don't know, maybe even a little anxiety. It's super fascinating. It should be interesting.
You bet. And you know what, Andy, don't be surprised if your dad jumps in your suitcase and says, I'm coming on a little holiday too. We just had so much fun with him, and all his hospitality as well. And you guys are just, kudos to you. I'm feeling very comfortable with, the way that we're going to be very aggressive in developing this partnership, and what it's going to mean for all of us. And we're so proud to be the first Canadian association that is doing this with you guys, and just excited. My head is whirling every day, as now that you two know me, you can well imagine.
Yeah, no, we know that you're a great fit for us, Lorelle, and
oh yeah,
I admire your drive, and just that go get it mentality. I think that we've needed that. It's super appropriate to what we're doing, and we see the movement, we see the potential. We know that you do, and we want to work with like-minded individuals like yourself, and really with you guys' association. I mean, cannot wait to get up there. Cannot wait to learn more about what you guys are doing, and just how we're going to grow this thing going forward. So super excited. Shane has had some issues with keeping the connection steady, which is no big deal, because Lorelle, you held down the fort so well. But no, we will bring it to a close here. We're going to let you guys exit, and we'll just let you know, it's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. We are very excited to work with you guys going forward, and thank you.
So great to see you both again. So great.
Well, that was awesome. First impressions, first reactions.
Man, I don't know. I've got so much going through my head as far as, because there's just a lot of what could have, where can this go? What are we about to do? What have we done? What have we wrought?
Where is this going?
Yeah, where is this going? What is this world? So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It'll be a good adventure.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I think one of the things that gets me excited is just seeing when I see and I hear about the excitement that they have to get this thing kicked off. And, that motivates me to make sure that we create a great product for them, and that we continue to grow what we're doing on this end. Ever since the conversation started with Lorelle, it's been in my head like, man, we really need to turn our attention right back to what we're doing with these broadcasts, with these productions. We've always operated on a pretty limited crew. And that's just part of it. Like we're starting out, the resources are limited, but But man, I just, it's like if we had any doubts about doubling down as we go into 2026, those are fully quelled. Like we're going to be going after this. We're going to be focusing as much on our races and getting them turned around and put out there quickly as we are anything else, because obviously a big part of our business has been making sure that we create promotional content so that every track can really grow and promote what they're doing. We want to broadcast the short form content that's exciting, that that is like, the stuff that a sponsor may see, or that an audience member that's never been to a race may see. But now to know that we're going to really grow this immediate race audience, people that are actively involved with the sport of chuckwagon racing in different countries. We're international, baby. The fact that we get to focus on that is exciting to me. It gives us that, that extra direction that we need to say, hey, this is an area we really need to focus in 26, instead of maybe trying to make more reach in so many different areas around the racing to make sure that we can appeal to all these bigger, different audiences. Now we can really focus and say, hey, it's the chuckwagon racing people. It's that community. It's that audience that we can continue to focus there, because we're building out how many different actual pieces of programming we're going to have on the channel. So, and it just makes it all the more alluring for, a bigger platform like a Cowboy Channel, that has much bigger distribution, a way bigger footprint. So, the sky is the limit, truly.
Pressure's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, if we thought we were busy this year.
Yep.
Oh man, you've yeah. Well, this and other things that I've got that are just manifesting out of nowhere here too. I'm already tired next year. So yeah, this is crazy.
Yep. If you get a chance to take a vacation this winter, do it.
Yeah,
It's like not happening.
not gonna work.
When?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. But you know what? We're lucky. We're privileged. We're honored to have the opportunity. And it's exciting to know that now when we come on the CWC podcast, we get to address our Canadian audience as well. So all of you folks that are part of the EPCCA and beyond, we welcome you to the Chuckwagon Channel, and we're very excited for what is ahead. So, so go and subscribe and relive the ride at chuckwagonchannel.com. We're going to have these podcasts every week. We put them out there Wednesday or Thursday, typically on the Chuckwagon Channel for our subscribers, and then we typically are publishing the episode on YouTube on Friday. And so make sure you subscribe. But that is what I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much to everybody who's been a part of this, and we look forward to what is ahead. So we will see you out on the track.
Thanks for listening to the CWC Podcast.